Hello, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. I've got a coaching student that we're going to interview in just a moment who's built an incredible business. He's a proven Amazon course student as well, and he's got a heart of gold. We really enjoyed spending some time together today. It's one of those episodes where I had to interrupt him and say, we got to hit the record button because we just got off on such great conversations and we repeated ourselves for you guys, for you as the listener today as well, so you can hear all the good stuff. But the bottom line is Rocky, who you're about to meet, he took quite a while to finally jump into this community. He was impressed. He saw and liked what he was experiencing. He came to our event about a year ago, as we're recording this episode today, came to an event, just loved us, and he gives us that review today. But he went on to build a business that has sold about $74,000 worth of product at about 18% net margin. Tremendous ROI, 85% ROI. He only started off with $3,500. That's what he put into his business. He's thrilled with the results he's seeing. He's ready to step on the gas. I asked him if he'd come on the podcast and just share how it's gone so far, his impressions of those initial stages once he got serious, because I know there's a lot of listeners to the show who are at that stage. They're thinking, yeah, I maybe want to do this. Yeah, I probably should at some point. It's really good to hear from someone who's a few months ahead of you who decided to finally pull the trigger. Rocky got a coach. He got into our proven Amazon course training. He started buying inventory. He's using 3P Mercury, which you hear us talk about a lot around here. We'll talk more about that. There's links to all of this in the show notes as well if you have questions about any of it. And let me say this as well. Sometimes you hear acronyms or you hear about programs and you're interested in finding out more. You don't know how to find out more. There's a couple great ways to jump into our community completely free and get questions answered. One is our free Facebook group. silentjimdotcom has a link to our free Facebook group. Jump in there, ask your questions there, do a keyword search, or better yet, get on the phone with us. If you go to silentjim.com/book-a-call, there's a link at silentjim.com to our coaching page. Just go there. You can schedule a free half-hour call, ask all your questions. We'll put together a customized roadmap just for you that shows you your best path forward using the tools and strategies we discuss around here. We'd love to get to know you completely free. So if you have questions as you listen to this episode today, you don't have to scurry around and figure it out yourself. Let's connect. That's actually one of the great themes that Rocky encourages all of us today. You've got to connect. He formed a mastermind group with a handful of other students, for example, at the last live conference over a year ago. And it's still meeting on a regular basis to this day. Every week they meet, encourage each other, talk about life and business, keep each other equipped and motivated. That's the kind of thing we love to encourage around here is connections, not isolation. You're going to hear that theme loud and clear today as well. But it's conversations like this, it's interviews like this that make me personally, as a leader in this community, feel so excited about the future, about what we're doing here, about the opportunities we have, about how wide open this is. One of the questions that Rocky asks, and I'm not going to answer it now, but I'll tell you it's coming towards the end of our interview, is, hey, Jim, what's the future look like? Is this thing saturated? How much opportunity is still here? What's the next 5, 10 years look like from your vantage point? And I just give him some really good facts, data, and evidence that you can go look up for yourself that points to a great answer about how exciting it is to consider where all of this is heading. It's just wide open and expanding rapidly. We'd love to tell you all about it. That's what this episode is today. One other freebie for you. I mentioned this on the show today when the topic of the book that I wrote comes up. It's called The Silent Sales Machine. I want to give you a completely free, no obligation copy of that. There's a link in the show notes. You can go to silentjim.com/free11. That's the number 11, as in version 11 of the book. It's been updated 11 times. We want to give it to you completely free. When we reference the book, we kind of breeze past that part quickly, so I want to make sure you have that in your notes. The link's in the show notes as well, along with all the other things that we talk about today. One last thing, I promise. This is it. The last full week of August. Circle it on your calendar. The last full week of August 2026. We'll have more details soon at theprovenconference.com. We're going to gather live. Rocky loved our last live gathering. So I had to throw that in there for you as well. Let's jump over and spend some time with my good friend now, Rocky Lynch. You're going to enjoy. Hey, so Rocky, great to have you on the podcast, man. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jim. Thank you. Thank you for including me.
Well, you and I were having a great conversation before I hit the record button. And I'm like, man, we got to record this. We're having such a good time. So, for the listener's sake, let's start over just a little bit. We've got some good topics to dive into today, but and maybe let's start here. How you discovered this community and what led to that, and then we'll dive into your story a little bit.
So, initially, I had tried selling things online through eBay, and it was a struggle. And my wife at the time, she passed away in 2015. But my wife at the time, she wasn't as interested in any of my like business pursuits. She wanted me to go to work. We'd make money, support our kids, and go to heaven. Like that was her purpose in life. So after she passed away, I was looking for things to do to sort of keep my mind occupied on positive things. So I had been stumbling around listening to podcasts, uh, and I found a bunch of sales podcasts. The first one was a Jimmy Smith podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and he had talked about being a part of a community. So I listened to him a lot, and I'm like, this is a great idea. Like buy stuff, sell it, make a little bit of money. So I found the community and I listened. And I'm going to be honest with you. At first, the story seemed too good to be true.
Yeah.
So I had a little money and I went to a conference in Florida for the first time, and I got a chance to meet everybody. And like you guys were as promised, like
Mm.
everybody was willing to help you. And a lot of times when you're dealing with money, people want to hide their secrets. That it seemed as though as long as you are willing to put in the effort, anybody that you ask a question to will give you a legitimate answer. Like they won't necessarily give you the exact answer, but they will give you enough information that you should be willing enough to find the proper answer. And that's what I found from this group.
Yeah.
So I started in March of this year. So it took me basically four 4 years of listening to you guys before I got started.
Started taking action. So here we are, March 2026. You started in March of 2025.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. So we're 1 year into your journey. You've given it a very part-time effort, is what you described to me. But I was fascinated. You were sharing some numbers before we hit record. You started off with you put $3,500 into inventory,
Right.
and you added some more funds along the way. We'll get into that. But you've sold $74,000 worth of
Yes.
inventory to date.
Yes. 74,900 and I think 57.
75 to round, nice round number. So you put in 3,500 along the way. You said you've added another
I've added
5,000.
5,000.
Yeah,
Correct.
worth of inventory. But that's just rolling over, rolling over, rolling over. And you're at 18% net margin,
Yeah.
85% ROI.
Hmm.
That's a great business.
Yeah. It says
Part-time, very part-time.
yeah, it says to this point, it's a little over $10,000 net.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
Great
That's
job, man. Great
not bad.
job. Yeah. So what's the reality of this business for you? Like the day-to-day reality of this business?
So for me, I got out of the service in 1981 and I instantly started restoring antique automobiles. I would get up at 6 in the morning. I'd leave. I'd drive 45 minutes, go to work. I would work until it was dark. I would come home but I was surrounded by a group of people every day. Same guys in the garage, customers that came in. The difference with this is I'm here by myself.
Hmm.
So I have a dog and a cat and chat GTP. And the last conference I was at, you put us into
Masterminds.
mastermind groups.
Mhm. Yeah,
And so our group stayed together,
that's tremendous.
and
So
we
a
talk
year,
we talk Wednesdays,
that's
and
awesome.
it's nice. So anytime you have a question, you have somebody that you can actually reach out to that will give you a legitimate answer because you've answered questions for them in the past. So like it's interesting because this is something totally different from what I've ever done before.
Yeah, yeah, and you're an example of someone who's taken us seriously when we said don't allow yourself to slip into isolation because e-commerce can be very
It
isolating.
is.
Yes, and the people who tend to fizzle out and burn out and fade away are the ones who try to do it on their own. And you can have other people around you locally that don't understand what you're doing that support you, but I'm talking about people who are doing it, people who are
Right.
actively engaged in the business, having those connections, even if it's a Wednesday Zoom call and you guys get together, talk about life, talk about business, encourage each other, share ideas. That's so huge because it prevents that stagnation that we see that's so common. Even among very successful sellers, they'll just lose interest entirely and they can't figure out why.
And
That's
that's what
why
it is.
you are flying solo, dude. And we're not built for that. So that, yeah, that camaraderie that I can detect that you were describing when you were, working on cars, those guys, they meant something to you, hanging out with them, seeing them every day, cutting up, joking, whatever, there's more there than I think we realize sometimes, especially as guys. So to have a small version of that's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So what's funny is like this year has been like so I'll be 65 in July.
you look great, man.
So oh thanks. But and so I wasn't really retirement age.
Hmm.
But so like the type of work that I did, I had done it for so long that it was sort of I could turn my brain off
Hmm.
and just go through the motions, do my job, and they would be very nice. But it
Right.
allowed me a lot of opportunity to listen to a lot of books.
Mm.
So I was listening to these books, and there was a particular thing about like divine discontent, where there's something that like irritates you, but instead of turning it into a negative outcome, you take that energy and you turn it towards something positive. So as I was going to work one day, I have a 45-minute drive. I lived in Pennsylvania at the time, and the snow was horrible and it was just terrible. And I said, why do I keep doing this? Like, I'm going to die, and this guy is going to replace me. And in 3 months, do you remember that guy that used to work here? So what I did is I put everything in God's hand. I said, hey, God, I said, I've been making a lot of mistakes. I said, I've got some like a big thought in my heart. And I'd like for you to carry it for me. And the thought was I was going to quit my job, sell my house, and move across country. So I said, if you can show me that this is the right thing to do, I put on a podcast and I was talking to somebody, or you were talking to somebody who just traveled.
Mm.
And I said, all right. So I put a for sale sign in my house. I moved to Missouri. I quit my job. I came here. I knew nothing but a girl that I'm getting married to in July, actually.
Wow.
And so,
Wow. So hold on. Let me play catch up for a second, Rocky. I didn't realize that's part of your story. So you were praying, you had this divine discontent, as you labeled it. I
yeah,
love that. Like, and I was made for something different. I don't think I'm quite exactly where God wants me right now. God, what's going on here? Give me some signs here, right? And you're listening to a podcast episode of ours, and that brought some clarity when it was someone who was traveling, which is what you felt
right. Like I
maybe
just
too,
felt like they
traveling full
weren't
time
happy.
because you can do this business from anywhere.
Exactly. They weren't happy in their corporate career.
Right.
Just like I loved doing what I do.
Hmm.
I just didn't love doing what I do.
Hmm.
And that just like lit a fuse. And so I sold my house. I moved here I took a little bit of money out that I had, and I
Yeah,
said, "Hey, God, we're going to roll the dice on this
let's go for it. Wow. And now you're getting married here this summer.
in July." Yes,
Congratulations, man.
yeah.
Wow. What an awesome story. And,
So
we only met briefly and talked. It's been a year.
exactly, yeah.
Um, but I do remember you have, I remember from that encounter, you have this fire inside of you, this you see the world through a very positive, yeah, I'm going to make it happen kind of lens. I suspect you always have, or at least,
No,
now it doesn't come easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but you just came across as a guy who's like, hey, you know what? If God wants me to do it, I'm all in. I'm going to do this thing. And I just remember that energy that you had. Talk to me a little bit about that, Smith. You said you haven't always had that, huh?
no, I haven't. And the thing is, it's so I told you I lost my wife in
Yeah.
2015,
So
and
sorry.
I couldn't, for the life of me, understand why God took her and not me.
Mm,
Like she lived a perfect Christian life. She was a beautiful soul. She was well loved by everybody. I had a little bit of a checkered past,
mhm.
and I just couldn't, for the life of me, understand why. Like if somebody deserved to not be here, it would be me and not her. But anyways, I got to a point where it's like God must have something else for me, and and I started. Like I said, I had an opportunity to like listen to a lot of books, and the main focus is that like you have to see your life the way you want it in order to find a roadmap to get there.
Yeah.
So if you're always looking at like what you don't have, you're going to only find maps to what you don't have.
I read just this morning in Proverbs that without vision, the people perish.
That's exactly right.
You got to
That's
know
it.
where you're going, man.
That is it. And that's what I found. Like I found that like if I want to have like most of my family, they make it to 60 and they perish
Mm,
for some reason. Again, like I'm still here. Like I've already like I've outkicked my coverage already.
mhm.
So I feel that like God must really have something for me. And in order to have a voice, you need to have income. But if you're making income in a brick building that you never see the light of day, that voice is useless. So like doing something like this, like like you, I appreciate the fact that you get a chance to talk to 70,000 people in your group and you are unapologetic about your spiritual connection with God. Like that's where you get your source. That He is your source.
Yeah.
And I think that like you were given that like that podium through this business.
Yeah.
And I think that that is a something that I would like to have myself.
Exactly right. Yeah. I modeled it a bit after what I would observe the Salvation Army, the way they used to work. They'd bring people in and they wouldn't just start breaking out the Bibles and preaching to people.
No,
They'd feed them and then, have some conversation and then earn the right to have a deeper connection. Right. And I see business as that when you see people struggling financially and I made a post just today how inflation there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing you or I can do about inflation. The government's going to keep printing more money. Doesn't matter who the president is, doesn't matter who's in charge. Inflation is going to always be with us. The only way to fight it, earn more money.
that's right.
And that creates a lot of stress on families. Constant pursuit, like just to stay even with where we're at, we got to earn more and invest smart just to stay even. That's a lot of pressure. So if we can relieve that pressure, that gets us a foothold of respect and camaraderie and connection. And we've leveraged that into some very powerful relationships, leading people closer to God, leading people to the cross, man. That's what I'm here for. But I'm going to earn the right first by
Mhm.
serving you with excellence. And that's what you've observed. It's very intentional.
No, I appreciate that. Like everybody involved in your community, that's how they are. And I appreciate the fact that like when voices aren't that way, they seem to some way get eliminated by themselves. Like I've never seen and no negativity in your community whatsoever. None. and that's not the case in online situations mostly,
Yeah.
which is
Well, you show
wonderful.
people love, and the secret weapon we have around here when someone starts to get real negative is we say, you know what? Just go check out a few hundred of our podcast episodes, a few hundred. You don't have to like me. Go listen to them. Having
That's
1,100 plus podcast episodes with great people like you at all different levels of success. That's very validating. We don't have to defend ourselves. I refuse to go on defense and defend myself against some kind of, whatever someone wants to say. Like, hey, we do success here. If you want to be around successful people and encouragement, that's what we do here. If you don't, there's lots of other great places you can go to complain and
you
gripe.
know
But
what's wonderful is like you've given people like different like different menus. If you want this to be a part-time thing, you can make it a part-time thing.
true.
If you want it to eventually become bigger,
Hmm.
that can happen. If you want to, try it for like a couple of months and then just pour everything into it and get huge, that's there too. Like you've given everybody. I think the only way that you cannot succeed in this community is if you quit trying.
I agree with that absolutely. And we even make the commitment. As long as you're trying, we're right there with you. We are not going to give up on you. If you give up on yourself, there's nothing any of us can do about it. But we've just seen far too many lives changed. And I guarantee you, I love saying this, but it doesn't matter who I'm talking to. This is true. There's people who aren't as smart as you, who aren't as well equipped. They have less of a budget. They have less time. They have more life challenges, less experience. They didn't have as good of a home life as you did growing up. It was worse. No matter how bad yours was,
And there's
it
always
was
somebody.
worse, right? And they're crushing it right now with these strategies. So what's your excuse?
That's what it is. Like you have to find a reason to not want to succeed.
Mhm. You got to dig deep for that excuse. It's going to be hard to find, and we're not going to let you hold on to it very tight before we start
Absolutely.
smashing.
So Jim, when you start, I know you were in sales for like sales, and then you did the eBay thing.
Yeah.
Like at what point did you wake up or like sit at the dinner table with your wife and like like this can really be big? Like when was that moment that you said
I
this
haven't
is
been asked that
really
question in a long time. The moment where I remember where I was sitting in my car, we the earliest versions of the Silent Sales Machine book, which I give away free, silentjimdotcom/free11. It's sold over 1 million copies on Amazon. We just give it away now. And that's the link, silentjim.com/free11. But that book was in its earliest version. And I was just basically I documented my journey of selling online and making the transition and going full time to e-commerce and sharing the story with others. And I realized that if we were good at what we did, if we truly served people and we gave them an incentive to share their experience with others, that this could turn into something viral and potentially massive that would impact not just hundreds, which was my goal at the time. I want to help hundreds of people discover e-commerce and find financial freedom. But it hit me like this could be thousands, tens of thousands. This could be whatever, however big God wants it to be. And at that moment, I knew that my integrity was the glass ceiling. That's what God challenged me at that point. You're going to have to stay humble. If you think it's about you, I'll take it all away in a heartbeat.
is that so you have intentionally pushed it off towards other people and given them a piece of the spotlight too and
That word
raised it up.
silence means a lot of things.
Yeah.
And one of them is my voice cannot ever be the loudest in this community. I'm there to support other great leaders, and we've launched great leaders off into other incredible arenas, and they've used this in this community as a bit of a stepping stone off to do other great things. Some of the most recognized names in e-commerce started off as clueless newbies in this community. And if you say, "Oh, what's your roots?" "Oh, I picked up a copy of Silent Sales Machine about 18 years ago," and off they went, And and that's just me being faithful. When it's all said and done, I've played a very small role in a very big battle plan that God has had that I believe it has included helping families find financial freedom through the flexibility and the relational, just blue ocean of opportunity of the internet. So we're bringing biblical truth to this platform that the enemy's certainly doing a lot of fighting in this arena as well. Pornography and just hate and just filth, right? The enemy's having a heyday as well. But what's the other side of this? Well, we can use this to connect people, to build better families, to build business opportunities, to connect with people we otherwise never would have met, and you know, do things like this where from anywhere in the world people can gather, create content. Like, let's use it for those types of things. So I see myself as being kind of assigned a battlefield of bringing biblical concepts to business online, and God
And
will
you,
do with it what He will.
and the reality of it is too. I mean, like since you have so intentionally interwound God with your business idea, like this is not. It's not even a business at this point. Your platform that
I call it a
since you have,
ministry all the time.
yeah. I mean, like since you've so interwound it, like the minute that you would become like like you said, make it about you, like you would, God would definitely take it away from you.
Yeah,
And the
I know
fact that
for a
he
fact.
hasn't,
I
and the
know for a
fact
fact
that
He
he
will.
hasn't, it just validates like what my thoughts were about this group to begin with. That you guys
Yeah.
are definitely a at face value group of people that
Thank
are
you.
here to help you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And to be clear, we got plenty of great leaders on our team who are not Christians.
No,
It,
I
one of
understand
my
that,
one
but
of my mentors is a Orthodox Jewish rabbi. He's not a Christian, he's Jewish. But what we all have in common is an incredible respect for and admiration of the power of a community of people supporting and encouraging each other and applying these timeless business truths that, from my vantage point, come from the same source. That's these biblical concepts of business and life success, and people are attracted to it. You can't help it be. It just rings so true. Things like, if you try to do anything in isolation, it's going to fail. So let's be very intentional about community and relationships, masterminds, connection, coaching, right? Let's encourage those things. We don't want to encourage people to go off onto their dark little corners and push the right buttons. We want community. We want connection. We want that to be part of who we are. That's our culture. So that's a biblical concept. You don't have to be a Bible believing Christian to benefit from that concept. So that's that's how we've kind of integrated the two. But I certainly can't separate who I am from what I do. I have no idea how to
yeah, there
how
should
to
be no
separate
moral
those two.
ambiguity at all.
Hey, we'll get back to the episode in just a minute, but I want to thank our sponsor, and you're going to want to check out their free offer. If you're paying more than you'd like to be for your inbound shipments when you send inventory to FBA at Amazon, which is pretty much everyone, right? We'd all like to pay less. Well, go check out 2D Workflow. Go to silentjim.com/2D. That's the number 2, the letter D. You'll see their offer free for 2 weeks to check out this software that compares the rates they've negotiated with the shipping rates that you're used to using. And in many cases, they're going to be able to save you significantly, up to 30 or 40%. This is a tool built by sellers for sellers to help save on shipping. If it doesn't beat the prices you're used to paying, don't use them. But if it does, this tool is super simple to use, and you can compare prices on the fly when you're preparing your shipments. Go check them out at silentjim.com/2D. That's the number 2, the letter D, as in 2D Workflow. Thanks for the sponsorship, guys. Hey, let's get back to today's episode. Who I am from what I do. I have no idea how to
Yeah, there
how
should
to
be no
separate
moral
those two.
ambiguity at all. So if you were in my position
Yeah,
in this area, like
right.
at this point in my business building, so like what would be your next step?
Yeah. Well, okay, to recap, I mean, you've put a significant amount of money in the bank proving out a system. To recap, you started off with $3,500. You've sold $74,000 worth of product, uh, 85% ROI. You're doubling your money on a lot of stuff you're finding. Do more of that. And what you're going to find is you'll run into those walls or those bottlenecks as you start to expand, you'll hit something. That's that obstacle is the way. Whatever it is
Yes.
you just hit,
The
I
hardest
don't have
thing
any
is
more time. Oh,
keep
I ran
going.
out of money, right? You're going to hit those governors, right? It's time to step on the gas. And that's where one of my favorite words in business is margin. Where do you have margin? Where do you lack margin? If you're going to do something significant, bigger than yourself, you got to have the margin to tackle it. And sometimes you can find it by turning off some bad habits and time wasters. Like, okay, I'm going to stop watching 6 hours of Netflix a week. I'm going to limit myself to one show, and I'm going to put those other hours into building a business. So you've created your time margin. Maybe it's money margin. Other areas where I see people needing margin is with their health, right? Their ability to focus. Maybe you need some discipline there. I'm not talking to you specifically, Rocky. I'm just talking in
That just
general
in
terms,
general.
right? And once you identify your relational margin, like if you've got a spouse that's saying, hey, if you put one more dime into a crazy business idea, it's over. Well, you got to earn their trust. You got to bring them along slow, right? There's a lack of relational margin there right now. Are you going through any kind of difficult relational issues? Like, couples who are in the middle of a nasty divorce, that's not the time to start a business. You don't have relational margin right now, right? So if you do have the margin, push it. Go out to the edges. Time, money, effort, energy, relationships, if like if work out that balance, you're going to be married here in a few months. How much time are you okay with me spending on this business? The two become one, and now her opinions matter a lot. What are those lines? Right? So you find those lines and then you just work them. And the beautiful thing about this business is you're going to get out what you put into it. You put in more time finding more ASINs. That's my advice. Find more ASINs, test more ASINs. The bigger your catalog of products is, the more money you're going to make. We have a lot of people with 3P Mercury now, for example, finding hundreds or 1,000 or more ASINs per day and just
Right?
loading them in, building these very robust businesses. And and the bonus on top of all of that, of everything I just said, is along the way, you're going to meet incredible people, Rocky, who open up doors of opportunity. It might be a brand, it might be a business opportunity, it might be a little pivot here to do something a little different. But the people uh, in this arena that you're going to encounter and the opportunities they represent are going to open up all kinds of multiple income stream things. And if you approach it with prayer and wisdom and bounce it off of good mentors, and there's just so many fun things you can do in this arena to really expand out. So
I
hopefully
remember you
you
saying,
find that encouraging.
yeah, I remember you saying that you eventually have to start making money with your mouth. Like, like you have to like talk to people. So like as I reduce like some of the things, I'll tell you that the money I've made, I keep putting products into 3P Mercury,
Sure.
but I've been selling the same 72 products
Hmm.
regularly.
Yeah.
From the very first sale was one of the same ones that I'm still selling. And
Wow.
it's to a point where it's hard to keep them stocked.
Hmm.
Uh, when would you suggest to a person when you would start using more credit?
Use more credit.
Like credit, like because eventually you have like this is it seems as though this is a money intensive business about to get larger.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at what point do you feel like you
That's
would recommend?
yeah, that's a risk question. And that's where I start to diverge a little bit away from like a Dave Ramsey, never use any credit for any reason. And I get very excited when I see credit cards offering 12 months zero interest. And I pay it off with extreme discipline, but that's free money. That's you if you can turn a dollar into two, go find some more dollars, but do it responsibly. Just because you can turn a dollar into two doesn't mean you can turn 10,000 into 20. You may not be able to deploy it all fast enough, right? So approach it with caution. Don't get in over your head. Have the worst case scenario firmly in mind as you ease into it. But the good news is, even if you're very minimal about doing something like that, if you're turning your money over and putting it all right back in, at the net margin that you've got going at this point, assuming you continue at least to be almost that good, man, you're turning your money over, it starts to grow pretty fast. The story comes to mind of a chiropractor from this area actually, who started off with, if my memory serves, it was either $1,000 or $500. I think it was just $500, and that's all he put in. He wasn't going to put anything else into this business. And within about a year and a half, he was paying off tens of thousands of dollars of students' loans and winding his practice down to only a couple days a month or a couple days a week instead of 5 or 6 because of the money he was making. And he'd never put any other additional money in. He was just rolling it over at these margins that are possible. And you do the math, it can start to snowball because that 85% ROI, that's not annualized. If your money's turning over 6, 7, 8 times a year and you're doing the kinds of 18% net margin that you talked about, that can happen very rapidly. It's the best. You're not going to find anything on the stock market. I mean, unless you pick that 1 in a million stock, or, I've had a real estate guy who came through and said, "Man, I love doing my real estate thing, but I've never seen return on investment like what I can do flipping stuff on Amazon." Right. So you can get great returns and you don't need a lot of other people's money to do it. I would say be cautious. Use it only on proven ASINs that you're wading into. Don't spend the money any differently than you would spend it if it was your own cash. Sometimes people get a little more aggressive and a little less cautious when it's a credit card, right? So just ease into it, as would be my advice. Find those zero interest deals as best you can. But yeah, and there's plenty of people. If you can turn $1 into 2, there's unlimited places to go to get money. That's a fact.
So, how do you see this business? Like, where do you see us going in the next 10 years?
And you're asking some great questions, Rocky. I'm glad we're spending some time here, and I love diving into these topics. I do Monday night sessions with the community quite often, and these are the kind of questions that'll pop up, but I don't get to do them on the podcast very often. So if you're in our free Facebook group, there's a link at silentjimdotcom. Monday nights, we jump in and do Q&A, and that's a popular one. Like, where's this going? Is this saturated? Is it going to be saturated? Am I too late? All that kind of goes into the, where's this going? What's the future look like? So let me just drop some facts and data. And I cover this in more depth as well every time we have a Saturday episode of our podcast, a weekend update episode. The second portion of that episode is me diving about half an hour deep into this exact topic. The good news is the game has barely begun. The future is as bright as any other business opportunity or business sector in the world. Now, let me give you the facts and data to back that up. Have you heard me talk about how big e-commerce is compared to traditional retail?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you happen to remember about what percentage of retail spending is online?
Like under 30%. It's like
it's under 20%.
20,
it's about 18% or so. So in other words, 18 cents of every dollar that Americans spend is spent online. Most people would think it would be more like 50 or 60 or 70% is spent online. Nope, that's not the case. Retail spending is still done. The vast majority of it is done in retail store environments. Get in your car, go to the store, buy stuff. That's the vast majority of retail spending. That means there's a lot of room for growth. So what's the projections? And this is all US government data. The projections are in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we're going to see massive leaps in that direction of 20, 25, 30, 35% of all retail spending online. That means the game's going to double approximately in the next decade or so. So everything we've seen since the 90s till now, it's going to double in the next 10 years or so. Pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. The game has only begun. It's picking up speed. You're not too late to the game. Amazon is the dominant force in e-commerce. That's why we spend all of our time there. They're building hundreds of warehouses all over the place in the United States, trying to give faster and faster delivery times for their everything store. That was Jeff Bezos's vision originally. There's a book with that title, Everything. Anything you want to order anytime. Now, grocery, I say they're going to face some competition on literally anything else besides grocery. They are such a dominant force. No one's going to catch them anytime soon. And the good news is, Rocky, that when shoppers shop on Amazon, for us as sellers, here's some very good news. Quite often, if they're in a hurry and they want it fast, which is millions and millions of shoppers every day, they don't care about price. They're not price sensitive. They care about speed. That means they're only shopping one warehouse, the one nearest them. And when you look at the Amazon selling opportunity through that lens, you realize that at any given time, there are millions of products that are inadequately stocked to serve a shopper who might want super fast delivery. You say, well, Jim, there's 30 people already selling this item and they have, 100 of them in stock total. Well, 100 isn't enough to put a unit in every warehouse. So you send a couple units in, it's going to go to a warehouse where there aren't any, and you could be the highest priced seller for that product, and you'll still have customers buying your stuff. Why? Because they want the speed of that local warehouse. So that understocked edge that's there for all of us is only going to get bigger and bigger. It's a blue ocean that's growing quickly from my vantage point. That's the future. And that's all facts. Those are all inarguable facts of where this is all heading. Outside of some kind of global economic disaster where nobody buys anything anymore, Amazon's going to keep making a ton of money and sellers are going to do very, very well. That's my position based on the facts I see.
So I was just looking at some of the fees that you pay Amazon.
Yeah.
But I was also thinking, you're not paying rent to somebody or heating a building or paying electricity
Right.
so I guess giving them 40% isn't really that bad.
Well, no, the way to look at that is, I've been selling on eBay, a long time, couple decades plus, right? A long time ago, started selling on eBay. And I remember the first time that eBay raised its fees and sellers, a whole bunch of them, and I was tempted to join the chorus at the time, but I gave it some thought. So if they're raising the fees on everyone, then the prices will just go up. And
Right.
that's one of the laws of economics that some people understand and others refuse to believe or understand is a tax on one of us is a tax on all of us. A fee on any of us is a fee on all of us. Prices adjust and just go up. So unless Amazon starts punishing some sellers with higher fees than other sellers, like, you know what? We don't like you. You're over 6 foot tall. So therefore, it's going to cost you an extra $3 per unit sold to sell on our platform. Well, okay, now they've created a disadvantage for people over 6 foot tall. That's not how the fees work, though. They go across the board. In other words, who pays the fees?
The customer should eventually.
Shoppers do. Just
Yeah.
like who pays the taxes when we're going to
Right.
raise taxes on all those evil, profitable businesses. Okay, well, who pays the taxes?
But he's going to get it.
Customers. The shoppers do. They're the ones that always pay all the fees and taxes and fines and right. So it's a non-issue. So as the fees go up over time, the only time that we should start to get nervous as sellers about Amazon's fees is if the shoppers start going, wow, wait a second,
This is
I
starting to
think I'm
get
going to
too.
go somewhere else. And then the good news for us is we just go right over there with them as sellers. We go where the shoppers are. And right now, half of all transactions all day, every day in the United States, approximately online are on Amazon. And that's not changing anytime soon because
So
of the convenience. Yeah. So you can add up the next 20 competitors that Amazon has and add up how much volume they do, and they don't touch what Amazon
not
does.
even close, not even Walmart. And
Not if you're looking online. Now, if you're looking at total retail sales of Walmart plus online,
because they have physical locations.
exactly. You got a bit of a battle there. But if you're just talking online, no, Amazon's dominant by far. So very bright future. That's a long answer to a short question, but I wanted to be thorough. And there's a lot more I go into. Like I said, scroll back to a recent Saturday episode of our podcast. After I do a couple of announcements, I dive into this business opportunity from the lens of someone asking some of those hard questions like, should I get into this? Am I too late? Is it saturated? What do the numbers look like in the next 5, 10 years? That sort of thing.
So one other question about you're the most knowledgeable person I know about any of this. And I very rarely get an opportunity to talk to somebody like this is knowledgeable about this as you. So what about like I know AI is becoming a thing.
Yeah.
When will it be educated enough to be able to read keep charts? Do you feel like do you think that will be a thing in the future?
Yeah. I could do about an hour on this, but I'll keep it short. AI is not going to have the impact that some people are wanting it to have as a general rule, in my opinion. I'm I'm kind of the same way on self-driving cars. I think we're a long, 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 long way from them being widely accepted. Now for short, local, safe stuff, but for um, and I won't dive into why, except to say that the first time a self-driving car has to make a decision between running over a pedestrian or saving the driver, there's going to be lawsuits.
Right.
And from that point forward, we're all going to have to sign a waiver that says, end my life, protect pedestrians, or kill pedestrians.
Dreams have saved my life.
Exactly. Like we're all gonna have to make that decision, and the lawyers are gonna have a heyday with that one, buddy. Right? So the same way, I'm kind of with AI and making all these decisions because what AI can't ever do is predict future buyer behavior. Economics for decades in universities was studied in the religious and philosophical departments, not as a science.
Hmm.
They called it the dismal science when it first came out, economics, because you just can't predict irrational human decision making. Why is it that I can go get a sweatshirt for $8, but I'll sit there and think long and hard about paying 10 times that if they put a little Nike swoosh on it, the exact same sweatshirt?
Right.
I'll pay $80 for that. $8 without this little piece of yarn woven here. That's not rational. There's nothing rational about the way people spend money or their future buying behavior. So using AI to help you predict what you hope might think might happen. Now, the good news is we are maximizing artificial intelligence, in my opinion, for resellers inside of the 3P Mercury tool, constantly adding innovations that help you make really informed decisions. But at the end of the day, you've got to decide as the seller, am I going to buy 5 or 10 units? Or am I going to go buy 40 units? I mean, I see the past history, but no artificial intelligence can predict if other sellers are going to jump on, or it's going to go on sale, or it's going to go out of stock, or there's going to be a recall, or there's all kinds of factors. So we're doing everything we can, but AI is not going to change the game as much as people think it is. The same risk factors are still going to be in play. We can just bring you the data that you need to make good decisions a lot faster, but you still ultimately have to decide
Know what's going
what
on.
products am I going to spend my money on? Which ones make the most sense right now for me? But the good news is for 3P Mercury users who are using it at scale, especially, there's just an endless supply of underserved, understocked, profitable products that you can be putting your money into. Because again, it's such a blue ocean for those of us who see it through the lens that we teach here.
I go through my stacks like once a week, and I like without fail something comes up. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Beautiful. Well, great questions, Rocky. I appreciate that, man. I love getting questions from guests like this. And you've been a great guest. You planning to join us the last week of August for our next event?
Well, to be honest with you, going back to the marriage thing, we decided that we're going to the Dominican for. I've never been to the island, so we're going to go to the Dominican Republic in May. And then our two families have never met each other. She has a large family, a girl and three boys. I have a girl and three boys, and the kids have never met each other. So we rented a big house in Pennsylvania, and we're going to hang out for a weekend, let the kids meet each other. So
That's fantastic. Well, you've got an exciting season of life coming ahead of you, man, and
absolutely.
I love it. You're doing great, and I'm so glad you agreed to come on the show. At first, when I'll let you in on a little secret of podcasting. My favorite guests, almost without exception, have been the ones who have been reluctant and have said something like, I don't know if I got much value to bring, which is what you said. But this has been a great episode. I'm encouraged. I know a lot of the people who listened have been very encouraged, and I'm excited to see this next chapter of life unfold for you, my friend.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, and like this platform that you've opened up and let other people have like a part in, it's fantastic. Like you just for that alone, like you are one of the most awesome people I've ever met. So
Wow. Well,
I appreciate you.
thank you. I mean, I'm a product of my parents, as flawed as they were, but they loved God and they turned their life around. A great wife who loves me and supports me even when I'm doing stupid stuff. She corrects me, and then of course God just gently ushering me in the direction. I'm just obedient. If anything, that's all I want credit for is, man, I am just trying to be obedient to what God's called me to do, be faithful and obedient. And beautiful things happen when you give it all back to him. But thank you. On behalf of the team, I received that because I do know we've built something special here. It's having an impact, and I'm
Really
excited to
have.
be part of it. All right, Rocky. God bless you, my
I
friend.
thank you very
Great
much.
spending
You have a
time with
wonderful
you.
day.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Hey, for the listeners who hung out with Rocky and I today, let me talk to you for just a minute. If you liked this episode and you found value in this conversation and you're sad that it's over, don't be sad. I got some good news for you. I mentioned earlier, we've got over 1,100 episodes of this podcast. That's what we do here is we interview students of our training and coaching. So you heard from a student today. That's what we do here. 1,100 episodes. Most of them are interviews like this. So just scroll back in time if you want to be encouraged. Here's some great conversations, some great tips and strategies along the way. That's what our podcast is. We'd love to have you along for the journey. Be sure to subscribe, leave us 5 stars, reviews, spread the word. We love all that stuff. It helps us keep our show flowing out there to those who need it. Stick around. We'll have more good episodes for you very soon. God bless you, business building warrior. We'll talk to you then. Hey, thanks for spending some time with us today. One last time before I let you go, I want to remind you about that free offer from 2D Workflow. They're the ones that can help you save a lot of money on your inbound shipping with FBA. They've gone out and negotiated great rates with all the carriers you're already using, and you can see a side-by-side comparison as you're preparing your shipments. And if they have a better rate, use it. It's the same carrier, less money. Why not? Go check out silentjimdotcom/2D, the number 2, the letter D, to see 2D Workflow. Thanks for spending time with us today. We'll have more great episodes for you very soon.